There's a plant with red stems crawling through the cracks in your driveway right now. It contains more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon, not per pound, per leaf. It has been feeding humans for 4,000 years. It survived the fall of empires. And in 2022, scientists at Yale discovered it does something no other plant on Earth can do, something they called a biological impossibility. The herbicide industry spends billions making sure you never learn its name. In 1050 BC, someone in northern Greece stored seeds in a clay vessel. When archaeologists opened it 3,000 years later, they found thousands of tiny black seeds, each barely 1 millimeter across, the same plant growing between the stones outside. This is purslane, the plant that solved a problem scientists didn't know existed, and the one we were taught to destroy. By the 7th century BC, purslane seeds appear in the Samian Heraion, one of the most important sanctuaries in ancient Greece. By the 4th century BC, Theophrastus is writing cultivation instructions, telling farmers to sow it in April alongside their essential crops. This wasn't a weed. This was food. The Roman Empire cultivated it across 3 continents. Medieval Europeans ate it at every meal. In 1288, Bonvazin de la Riva compiled a list of everything Milan consumed. Purslane made the list, not as a curiosity, but as a staple. Sometime after 1492, purslane crossed an ocean. But when European settlers documented it in Massachusetts in 1672, archaeologists later discovered it had already been here for 2,500 years. Seeds found in Ontario date to 1350 AD. Seeds found in Kentucky date to 800 BC native. Americans had been cultivating it alongside sunflowers, squash, and chenopod's in the Eastern Agricultural Complex. 2 populations separated by an ocean both decided this plant was essential. What did they know? In 1960, physiologist Unsel Keys launched the 7-country study to understand why some populations had almost no heart disease while others died from it at epidemic rates. He tracked 12,763 men across 7 countries for 50 years. The results broke every assumption. The farmers of Crete consumed some of the highest fat diets in the world, more than 35% of calories from fat. According to every nutritional theory of the time, they should have been dying from heart attacks. Instead, they had the lowest cardiovascular mortality rate Keys had ever measured. Lower than Japan, lower than Finland, lower than anywhere. For 20 years, scientists credited olive oil, the monosaturated fats, the Mediterranean magic. Then, in the 1980s, a new team went back to the frozen blood samples from the original study. They weren't looking for cholesterol. They were looking for omega-3 fatty acids. The Cretans had 3 times the omega-3 levels of the Dutch, but they weren't eating 3 times more fish. They were eating purslane every single day. In salads, in stews, sautéed with olive oil, fed to their chickens and goats. The animals ate purslane. The people ate the animals. The entire island's food system ran on a plant that grew wild in every field. Dr. Artemis Samopoulos analyzed purslane in 1992. The numbers seemed impossible. 300 to 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid per 100 grams of fresh leaves. That's 5 to 7 times more than spinach, 15 times more than iceberg lettuce. It's the richest vegetable source of omega-3 fatty acids ever measured. But it gets stranger. Land plants don't make EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid. That's a marine omega-3 you get from fish and algae, not from something in your garden. Purslane makes EPA. Not much, just traces. But when Samopoulos published the findings, other scientists questioned whether the samples had been contaminated. They hadn't. Purslane actually produces EPA, a compound that shouldn't exist in land plants. It also produces 7 times more vitamin E than spinach, 6 times more beta-carotene than carrots, and contains melatonin, glutathione, potassium, magnesium. and calcium in concentrations that make it one of the most nutrient-dense plants ever analyzed. The Lion Diet Heart Study tested whether the creatine diet could save lives. 605 patients were recovering from heart attacks. Half got the standard low-fat cardiac diet. Half got a Mediterranean diet rich in purslane, walnuts, and omega-3 fatty acids. After 5 years, the purslane group had 70% fewer deaths. Not 70% fewer heart attacks, 70% fewer deaths from all causes. The study was stopped early because keeping the control group on the standard diet became unethical. People were dying unnecessarily. So why isn't purslane in every grocery store? Why do most people call it a weed? In 2022, Dr. Erica Edwards and her team at Yale published findings in Science Advances that rewrote what we thought was possible in photosynthesis. They had been studying purslane because it did something impossible. It thrived in extreme drought while growing faster than almost any other plant. Most plants use C3 photosynthesis, which works fine with plenty of water. Corn and sugarcane evolved C4 photosynthesis, which handles high temperatures but still needs water. Desert plants like cacti use CAM photosynthesis. They open their pores at night to collect carbon dioxide when it's cool, then seal them during the day. This prevents water loss, but it also makes them grow incredibly slowly. Scientists knew purslane could do both C4 and CAM. They assumed the plant used C4 in one part of the leaf and CAM in another, keeping the systems separate. When the Yale team mapped gene expression across purslane cells, they discovered both systems operating in the same cells at the same time. C4 activity during the day for fast growth. CAM activity at night for drought survival. The products of CAM reactions feed directly into the C4 pathway. Edwards said, "This is a very rare combination of traits and has created a kind of superplant. No other species on Earth does this. The same enzymes are recruited for different jobs at different times in the same cellular space. It's like discovering a car engine that runs on gasoline and electricity simultaneously in the same combustion chamber, not by switching between them, both at once." Purslane survives on 1/5 of the water corn needs. It grows in soil so salty that most crops would die in days. It produces 200,000 seeds per plant. Each seed can remain viable in soil for up to 40 years. Every stem fragment that touches the ground roots into a new plant. You cannot kill it with heat. It cannot kill it with drought. One university study on solarization, covering soil with plastic to superheat it, concluded, if purslane dies from solarization, everything that could go right did go right. Translation: even deliberately trying to kill it with extreme heat barely works. This is the plant the herbicide industry declared war on. The global herbicide market hit $40 billion in 2024. Bayer, Syngenta, and Corteva sell products specifically formulated to kill purslane in lawns, gardens, and agricultural fields. Mesotrione, esoxaban, and 2,4-D. The same chemical weapon developed in World War II that Scott's company marketed to American homeowners in 1947. Homeowners associations prohibit it. Agricultural extension offices publish eradication guides. The entire infrastructure of modern horticulture treats purslane like an invasive enemy. Not because it damages ecosystems, but because it cannot be controlled. You cannot patent purslane. You cannot genetically modify its seed coat to make it sterile. You cannot create a hybrid variety that farmers have to buy new every year. It has been reproducing freely for 4,000 years. And it will keep reproducing no matter what anyone does. Every other OMEG-A23 source is a controlled market. Wild fish populations are collapsing. Farmed salmon requires massive infrastructure. Flaxseed oil goes rancid quickly. Fish oil supplements cost $20 a bottle. Purslane grows for free in every climate zone where humans live. It produces more omega-3 per acre than any cultivated crop. And it asks for nothing but sunlight and occasional rain. The plant that could revolutionize how humanity grows food is classified as the world's most common weed. India still eats purslane. They call it kulfa. In Greece, glistrida. In Mexico, verdolaga sautéed with garlic and chili. In China, it has been continuously cultivated for thousands of years as ma chi shin. Across Turkey, Iran, and the Middle East, it appears in meze spreads and summer salads. Half the world never forgot. The other half was taught to poison it. When climate models project where crops will fail first, they point to semi-arid zones, places where rainfall is already marginal and getting worse. These are precisely the conditions where purslane thrives. Corn and wheat require 20 to 30 inches of annual rainfall. Purslane completes its life cycle on 6 inches. Soybeans shut down photosynthesis above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Purslane accelerates. The solution we need is already here. Growing in every crack, called a weed, sprayed with poison. While we spend billions trying to engineer drought-resistant crops, the answer is literally under our feet. Let's break down exactly what purslane offers. Per 100 grams of fresh leaves, 300 to 400 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids. That's more than most fish. 7 times the vitamin E of spinach. 6 times the beta-carotene of carrots. It contains melatonin, which regulates sleep, glutathione, one of the body's most important antioxidants, significant amounts of potassium, magnesium, and calcium. And it produces EPA, a marine omega-3 that land plants aren't supposed to make, but purslane does it anyway. Because purslane doesn't follow the rules. The Lion Diet Heart Study showed 70% reduction in deaths when people ate purslane regularly. Not a small improvement. Not marginal benefits. 70% fewer people died. And the plant providing this benefit grows for free in parking lots. Learn to identify purslane. It has thick red stems and succulent paddle-shaped leaves that grow flat along the ground. The stems are smooth, never hairy. When you break one, it's juicy, almost translucent inside. The flowers are tiny and yellow, usually tucked between the leaves. Stop poisoning it. If it's growing in your garden, let it. If it's coming up between your patio stones, eat it instead of spraying it. Harvest it young, the first 6 weeks when the leaves are tender. Eat it raw in salads for a lemony, slightly salty crunch. Saute it like spinach. Add it to smoothies. Pickle it. Stew it. Dry it for winter. Save the seeds. One plant produces hundreds of thousands. Let a few go to seed. Collect them in late summer and you'll have enough to plant an entire garden or share with everyone you know. Teach someone else. Every person who learns to recognize purslane is one more person who stops seeing food as something that only comes from stores. One more person who understands that the most nutritious plants on earth are often the ones we've been taught to destroy. The herbicide industry doesn't want you to know that the richest source of omega-3 fatty acids is in your driveway. The pharmaceutical industry doesn't want you to know the supplement they sell for $20 a bottle is trying to replicate what purslane does for free. The agricultural industry doesn't want you to know the superplant scientists are trying to engineer already exists. For 4,000 years, this plant fed civilizations. Ancient Greeks stored its seeds in sacred vessels. Romans cultivated it across 3 continents. Native Americans grew it for 2,500 years before Europeans arrived. The people of Crete ate it daily and had the lowest heart disease rates ever recorded. Then in 1947, a World War II chemical weapon was rebranded as lawn care. Purslane became public enemy number 1, not because it's harmful, because it's free. Yale scientists discovered it does something no other plant can do. It runs 2 photosynthesis systems simultaneously in the same cells. It's a biological impossibility that exists anyway. It survives on 1/5 the water of corn, grows in soil too salty for anything else, produces 200,000 seeds that stay viable for 40 years, cannot be killed by heat or drought, and contains more omega-3 per leaf than salmon per ounce. 7 times more vitamin E than spinach, 6 times more beta-carotene than carrots, produces EPA that land plants aren't supposed to make. The Lion Diet Heart Study showed 70% reduction in all-cause mortality. The study was stopped early because letting the control group continue on the standard diet was killing them. Is called a weed. Homeowners associations ban it. Extension offices publish eradication guides. We spend $40 billion annually poisoning the most nutritious plant on the planet, while simultaneously spending billions on fish farms, omega-3 supplements, and trying to engineer drought-resistant crops that can do what purslane already does. It's growing in your driveway. Right now, free, unkillable, offering more nutrition than anything in the grocery store. The question isn't whether purslane works. It's been working for 4,000 years. The question is whether we're ready to stop poisoning solutions and start recognizing them. If this story made you look at the weeds in your yard differently, share this video. More people need to know what's growing at their feet. Subscribe for more investigations into foods that were suppressed because they worked too well without generating profit. The next revelation is already growing in cracks everywhere. The world's most nutritious plant is classified as a weed. Not because it's invasive, not because it's harmful, because it's free, unkillable, and offers more omega-3 than fish. Purslane is still here, still growing, still offering medicine, still waiting for us to stop poisoning it and start eating it. The solution to heart disease, malnutrition, and drought-resistant agriculture is in your driveway, called a weed. Sprayed with poison, ignored. Now you know its name. Now you know what it does. Now you know why they don't want you to know.